Okay, it's good to be back. I haven't been on any social media platforms for a little over 13 months, about 13 and a half months, and the reason is because I was in Randall County Jail. I am now currently out on bond, and I still have a trial date set for November 6th. My attorney believes they will dismiss the case, but we'll see what happens. She is 100% certain that she can win at trial. I think it would be good for Randall County's percentage rating to go down because, in my very strong opinion, there's way too much corruption going on there. It's basically turned into a human trafficking operation. So, anyways, not that there isn't criminals in there, and there are guilty people in there, okay, but there are also innocent people in there, and I believe the Randall County the Randall County justice system motto should be guilty until proven innocent. And that's really what it is. They're not putting the burden of proof on the state anymore. They are putting the burden of proof on the person who has been arrested, which is unconstitutional. Okay? So, I would like to tell the story. I think everybody needs to know. I think it's important that people talk about it. People are afraid of Randall County. They are definitely afraid of what they will do. I believe that what happened to me is a direct result of me speaking out about it. I actually made a song about somebody. There's a story prior to me going to jail, but right now I just want to talk about the fires and what happened. Okay, so it was in May. I got arrested May 21st. 2022. Okay, and in there's like a 72 period prior to that where 4 fires were set. Okay, the first fire was directly behind my mom's house late at night, 11:30, something like that. Somebody had already called the cops. It was actually the lights and stuff that I seen. I went outside and I noticed that there was an old dilapidated trailer on the street behind my parents at the back of their property, which is actually at the property line of, there's the 4 corners of the property. On that corner closest to my parents' house and their next door neighbor was an old dilapidated trailer somebody had set on fire. There was also a camper that was parked in front of that trailer next to the house of the sweet old lady that lives there. And I guess she had stuff stored in there or whatever. Anyways, that was the first fire. They came, they put it out, they spent, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours there putting it out, and I really didn't go to sleep until they were all done, except for I was looking out the window and I actually made a video about how, it was a strange day, somebody set this house on fire, whatever. It's on, I think it's on my YouTube, Benjamin, BENJAM apostrophe N, or my old TikTok. These are both my old accounts. I had to start new ones, and we'll get to that. My TikTok account is Benjamin_1984. I have new accounts now. So anyhow, the second fire was early that same morning. So within an hour of all of the fire trucks and the police leaving, I looked outside. I seen a light on the other side of my parents' house, and it was firelight. And I ran outside. I ran over there and around the corner of the house, and next door to my parents is Poncho and Viviana's house, and it's like a junkyard. They have a bunch of part vehicles and campers that they used to live in, but they don't live in anymore. And anyway, there was 2 campers on the back that were close to the trailer that had been set on fire, and they were on fire, and they were pretty far apart, so it looked like they had both been set on fire. There was nothing in between them but dirt and a poor dog that was being burned to death. It was actually the first officer that showed up. There was a dog barking. Anyway, I called 911, and I'm like, ma'am, there's another fire out here. And she's like, are you sure it's another fire? I'm like, I'm definitely sure it's another fire. I'm looking at it right now. Please send somebody out here. I gave them the address. I told her it was on a different street. It's on the street over. Anyways, so the first deputy gets there, and he actually has to shoot the poor dog. It was actually pretty horrific. Anyways, so they got that fire put out, and I went to bed. Everybody left, and the lights quit blinking everywhere. It was probably around sunrise before they left. That following night, the same morning as Poncho's campers caught on fire, at the end of that day, around 11 or midnight, sometime like that, I woke up to my phone ringing and explosions. Boom, boom, boom. Cars were blowing up. Something inside Poncho's house was blowing up. Those are actually the fire videos of the fire that I have posted on both of my old accounts, my TikTok and my YouTube channel. And my mom's like, hurry up and get over here. Help your father get the stuff out of the house that we need. So I ran over there, and they had everybody evacuated. They already had all the cars, except for my mom's car, pulled across the street into Marsha's yard. And I was helping my dad grab, some keepsakes and whatever he wanted me to grab. And the sheriff finally, he said, no, you got to go. You got to get out of the house. So we left, and then that's when I ran and got my phone out of the house. I came back over. I started videoing the fires, and you can see, it was a pretty bad fire. There was a strong north wind coming out of the house. My next door neighbor, Duncan, actually was standing in his yard, and when I went back over to my house to get the phone, he yelled at me, and he was saying, they're trying to get your parents' house, Ben. They're trying to get your parents' house. And I was like, who are they, Duncan? Who are they? And he just kind of gave me a strange look, so I'm still not entirely sure who they are. Anyways, and I'm not entirely sure why he said that or believes that. But the truth will come out. It always does. So that all finally calmed down. Thank God, mom and dad's house, we built it metal, so it's a metal house, and it didn't catch on fire. Nothing was burned. Okay, so the following day, I went to work. Okay, I changed a door jamb out on a back door for a friend of mine. I think he left his keys in there or something. He had to kick his back door open, so he needed somebody to replace the door jamb. I was the guy that fit for the job. So I got over there about 8 or 9 o'clock that morning, and I'm going to say that was like on the 19th or the 20th. I really don't remember. I think there was a day where there were no fires, and then the next day they arrested me. Okay, so anyways, so Poncho's house burned down. I went to my friend's house that next morning, began working at about 8 or 9 o'clock. I got to his house, we went to Home Depot, got what we needed, came back. I worked until about lunchtime. He also had another friend there fixing his fence for him that his dog had tore up. I went home for lunch around 12:30, probably about 12. And there was a whole investigation going on out there at Poncho's and the trailer behind there and the campers, and they were doing an all-out investigation. The fire marshal was there. There were sergeants from the investigators from Randall County were there, specifically Felipe Enriquez. That's the investigator that was over my case. And I waited for a little while to see if they were going to come talk to me or anything. They didn't, so I left. I went back to finish the job. I was probably done about 3:30 or so, but I had to sit there until about 4:30 because the other guy working there needed a skill saw and some 2x4s, which I picked up at the house before I left. And on my way back home, when I turned down Greg Street, I could see another plume of smoke. And it wasn't a fire, but it looked like something had been on fire. And I thought, oh God, it's my house. My house is burnt down. And as I was driving down Greg, I was going kind of slow, and there was a guy down the street that gives me scrap metal sometimes, and he had asked me before the fire started to haul off I think it was a washer and a dryer that he didn't need anymore. And he waved me down, and I pulled into his driveway, and I seen, the cops and everything were already down there, and he asked me if I was going to come pick that washer and dryer up anymore, and I was like, yeah, whenever I get some time, maybe tomorrow or whatever. And he asked me, what do you think about all these fires? And I was like, well, I don't know who's doing it, but we need to find out. I talked about Duncan, how Duncan's my next door neighbor to the south of me, and he would stand in his yard and I would say yell, maybe right under a yell, use a raised voice, and he would talk to Viviana and Pancho's house. He would stand in the corner of his fence and look over at them, and he would always have something to say. And Duncan was my neighbor for like 15 years. He's a good man. And I would just occasionally come out of my front door when I heard him yelling at them, and I would say, yeah, what he said. And anyways, I really don't know. I asked him one time, what are you saying? He was like, oh, I'm just talking to the neighborhood. All right. Anyway, so I went to my house after I left Frank's. I pulled in. As I was pulling in, I seen that it wasn't my house. It was Marsha's, my next door neighbor. Marsha is like family to us. She's like my other mother, and especially since I really miss her now, because she moved to San Antonio. She hadn't been there for a while. She had moved. I helped her move everything. There had been some suspicious things that happened at her house a few days before the fires started. In fact, I did have picture and video that I took while I was on the phone with Marsha, because somebody had been in her house. Her bedroom light was on. It was like 10:30 at night. I took out my trash and I noticed her bedroom light was on. And it hadn't, because I helped her move everything into a truck that she was going to take to San Antonio, and I saw her off. She hadn't been back. So somebody had been in there. There was a window, exterior window. There's two windows, the storm window and the exterior, or the inside window and the storm window. Storm window on the outside was open on the front of the south end of her house. And then the light was on the opposite end of the house in Marsha's bedroom. Also, on the back door, the dog door had been ripped off and something had been pushed up against it from the inside of the house. So I called Marsha and I was like, hey, I'm sending you pictures of all of this right now. Someone's been in your house, do you want me to get in and go take a look? And she was like, no, I'll send Brianna over there, and she can look at it, whatever. Well, she never did get a chance, I guess. Anyways, after I had taken those pictures and video, my dad was out taking the trash too, and I was like, look, should we call the cops over here or something to have them take a look at this? Anyway, Marsha didn't want me to do that, so I didn't. And I noticed Pancho was out in his front yard. He was standing there. It was dark. It was dark out. And he was standing there watching me. And I really think it was either him or his son. I don't know that for sure, but that's what my intuition is telling me, that they were either casing her house or they had already stolen a bunch of stuff. So the next day what I did was I walked around and I videoed everything that was inside Marsha's shed, everything that was inside of her. She had two sheds, one was locked, but I took videos and I explained what I was doing in the video, which I lost all of these because I'll get to that. So anyway, Marsha's house burnt down. And then on May 21st, 2022, about 11:30 in the evening, a SWAT team came, and I thought they were actually evacuating me from the house. They knocked on my window and were shining a flashlight in there. Mr. Roberts, come to the door. We need you to open the door. Okay. I went to the door, unlocked the door, and they turned me around and cuffed me right there. And the power was off in my house. I noticed that when I walked through, none of my lights were on. I have a little water cooler that always has a little blue light on. It was off. And when I got taken outside, I had no shoes, just my shorts on, nothing on me. But I stuck my phone in my pocket That was all I had on me, and $2. And anyway, all the street lights on the block were out, and they did it in total darkness. The SWAT team guy all he did was turn his flashlight and click it one time. They had 2 deputies waiting down the street, and they pulled up with no lights on, headlights off and everything, and put me in the car. He did not turn his headlights on until he got all the way back. He went all the way around the block and to Rockwell before he turned his lights on. I asked him when we got in the car, what are you arresting me for? And he said, I don't know anything. I don't know anything. And I was like, well, you got the wrong guy. And that was all I said. I figured it would. That it would get ironed out in a while, but I would quickly learn that they knew I didn't set them fires. There was another reason that they wanted to do this to me. Anyways, that'll be on another video, but that's how I got arrested. That's what happened. I have some pretty deep beliefs about what is going on here. It gets into some pretty spiritual things, but I will talk about that on another video. Just wanted to get that out for now. My next video will be about my experience in jail. So, thank you for listening. See y'all later.